cast. I hope that made any sense whatsoever. As is usual, this is the PvP channel. I'm officially a Protoss player and choose intentionally to cast all the Protoss versus Protoss. Just kidding, that's a lie. Morty's casting Kelazur versus Neeb, which would be a fun TVP, but I'm guessing a little one-sided anyways. I would have also loved to cast that, but fair's fair. Someone has to go over to Europe and cast these Europeans. Taking all our gerbs. Taking all our qualification spots. In the top right, as the red Protoss, it is Geralt. In the bottom left, as the blue Protoss, it is GungFuBanda. Any headaches today? No. That means you're not old yet. I don't think that's what it means. I think you guys were mistaking how loosey-goosey I was last night for being straight up drunk or like really tipsy, when really it was me being just tired and having drinks. Like 2 of those tiny little champagne glasses of champagne is not that much, especially since it was the course of like over the course of like 2 hours. I had a single shot of tequila and about a 1/4 of my gin and seltzer. I really didn't end up drinking very much of it. So yeah, there's no reason I would have a headache. Plus, I don't really get like headache hangovers personally. Usually what happens is that shortly after starting drinking, my body's like, nope, you shouldn't be doing that, and actually starts to feel sick. So I would actually prefer not feeling queasy drinking if, you know, it meant that I got headaches. I'd take that trade, actually. But I got old when it comes to drinking when I was 24 because I had too wild of a night. And, yeah. Had basically food aversion to it for a while. That's the story. I hope you enjoyed it, but you know what? I've cast like 1 billion PvPs. 4 earlier today, I believe, 3 or 4, and then a decent amount yesterday as well for both of the qualifiers. There's just a lot of Protoss players trying to qualify, especially over in Europe, and they both were allowed to swap to each other's regions, so yeah. A lot of PvP. This is interesting, though. We actually have not seen this quite happen yet. We've seen Proxy Stargate versus Proxy Robo. We haven't seen Proxy Stargate versus Stargate. Now, Geralt, if he figured out that that's what his opponent is doing, and I don't think he's really seen anything that tells him that yet, he would build a Phoenix. It'd be all Gucci. If GungFuBanda figured out that his opponent was going for a Stargate, oh my god, look at that. Look at that probe just like slip fired on in. He's not even supposed to do that. What are you even doing? He could go for a Phoenix, which is exactly what he does. So even though he was more offensive with his proxy, he ends up playing more of the, the defensive role. But defense is not even the right word for it. He just gets an upper hand straight up. That Oracle really shouldn't do much damage, but the Phoenix does have to find the Oracle. There we go, there it comes back now. So the Oracle might get a couple of zappy zaps in the main. No, actually the shield battery will be done, so... Nope, nothing's gonna happen here. The Adepts of Geralt were denied multiple times when they get back into that main base for further scouting, so this Oracle is gonna be the first scout there. Now it's gonna see a very real Phoenix, a very good instant recall. Had the energy to do so. Looks like Geralt did have this Oracle? When the hell did I miss that? That's talking about hangovers, I guess. Wow. Oh no! Oh, I'm so silly. That is Geralt's Oracle. I saw the shield battery, I guess, or the recall graphics, and thought that was the pulsar beam. That was so confusing. Okay, now the world makes sense again. Bit of a supply block though for Geralt. Oops. Blink is on the way. It is weird because you both have Stargates, and the proxy Stargate hasn't been found out. Maybe there could have been a Phoenix versus Phoenix war. I think people just don't want to play Phoenix versus Phoenix a lot of the time. Well, this is not good. Phoenix is, of course, great at tackling the Oracle, but then providing the ability to crowd control the units on the ground, and GungFu actually just wins. He just brought his army across the map, lifted a couple of stalkers with his Phoenix, and is doing some extreme, I say I dare say, game-ending damage. No wall. Well, that you don't see that too often. I mean, lifting a unit warping in? What the hell is that? Yeah, so Geralt just dies, actually. I mean, it was... I guess it was always a threat, but with GungFuBanda going for his own Nexus, and then... Okay, so we didn't actually technically die, but damn, is he really behind. Yeah, with GungFu going for his own base, and then, you know, no proxy gateway. It was just a pylon in the middle of the map. I just didn't assume he would use whatever army advantage he had, but he did. Not only having an army advantage, but also just having the better units, because that Oracle obviously didn't really help Geralt very much. It might as well have just hidden in the corner and tried to sneak up on the natural probe, something like that. So that was a devastating blow to Geralt, who will have Blink eventually finish up here, but not able to afford too many Stalkers to really be threatening. Decides to go for a Dark Shrine. Well, guess what? GungFu is ahead of you on that already. Also has his Robo, so in case this was a wacky DT versus DT situation, one person has detection, the other one would have, well, lackluster detection of the Stargate, but I think he saw the shimmer and knew he was dead. GG. That probe was Geralt's demise. That really sucked. I think that really started the ball rolling. Of course, you were just tired. Whatever, man. So when the patch goes live. No, because it's not determined if it even will go live. This is a patch test. It's their balance changes that are in testing. So they could very well say after a week of testing, which not much testing is really done actually. Test ladder is not that great. After a week of testing, they could be like, you know what, we don't like any of these changes, we're just gonna stay with it. They could technically do that. Waiting for GungFu to ready up here. We might just have a very, very fast best of 3 and be waiting a little while. Not too long. We'll go right into whoever wins this to face off against Skillis. Alright. GungFu's ready to go. GungFu has a cool banner. Game number 2 in the top left of Nightshade, we have Geralt. And in the bottom right is the blue Protoss. It is GungFuBanda. Choosing a name that you really have to get comfortable with. It's very easy to say GungFuBanda. GungFuBanda. Clever. This guy's been playing for a very long time. I remember, like, back in, like, 2012, talking about this guy occasionally. I think he kind of pseudo-retired for a couple of years. Then he started playing on ladder again without really playing in tournaments, and about maybe 6 months after, he started playing in tournaments again and was doing really well. I, like, vaguely recall this because I was wondering, I was like, where's he been? And I checked out his history on his account, and, like, it had, like, no history, and then suddenly, boom, bunch of games played, and I was like, oh, okay. But yeah. What I'm do is being a student, or just not enjoying Heart of the Swarm, because God knows a lot of players did not enjoy Heart of the Swarm. As much as everyone complains all the time about different aspects of the current state of Starcraft 2, we should all really remember that it could be much worse. I'd also like to remind the people who were posting on forums that the good old days were better and StarCraft was so much better with lower workers, and just really, really ask you to dig deep. Really think, was it that much better? Okay, alright. Both of them doing the pylon thing, and both of them sending their probes out to continue scouting, so not actually using it as a proxy pylon. It's so silly. It really does make it so that the actual scouting of the main base is becoming less and less important. It is still important, though, just because... I mean, first of all, if you do see the pylon, then you're like, okay, no need to check out the map, right? You know, good deal, good deal. And there are still one-base versions of what we're seeing. We saw actually last game, where one person proxied a Stargate, but the other person just went for a one-base Stargate. And a probe would see that one-base version that's like literally in the base. So it is still free scouting, and you are still the race that can do this without the with the least economic damage, anyways. Although in PvP, you have to scout so much, so often, you are really losing out on a lot of mining time with this probe. Speaking of which, both of them scouting every which way. Scouting with stalkers, scouting with adepts. Actually, stalkers could have found the adepts if they had gone a different path. Not so much here. GungFu is going to be able to block adepts with a shield battery. Can't say the same for stalkers, but Geralt already has his own stalkers in play. There's the block there. Does grab the probe at the very least, but then GungFu brings back his adepts. We have a one-base robo coming through. 2 shield batteries, because one for anti-Stargate, because he doesn't know what's happening here. His probe actually never scouted the main base, and only just now scouted that the second pylon was not actually using anything. So, he finished the shield battery already, though. The other one blocking the adept should definitely be canceled. Now it's only one adept. It's going to be able to two-shot these probes eventually. Shield battery runs out of juice eventually. Warp gets finishing up, though, and the Immortal is being prone. Now, that's important for Geralt to scouts. He now knows that his opponent's not going Stargate or Twilight Council or whatever. He blocks a Nexus as well, as I do believe GungFu was going for a Nexus. We don't have a third gateway down. No proxy pylon still being used. No probes died. That adept could not actually get through the shield battery. And then back on Geralt's side, after being scouted by a couple of stalkers or pushing the stalkers away, does also go for a Nexus, but he's going for a Robo and a third gateway pretty quickly, actually. So the Robo is done. Nexus is on the way, but also adding in a third gateway very quickly, so still expecting aggression from him. And definitely not the one-base version. We can see. I watch GSL, yeah. That's true. He did get a temporary ban from WCS. I didn't think that was when the break happened, though, for him, but you could be right about that. I thought he still played, and he was kind of salty about it, understandably. And he still played. But anyways, doesn't matter. GungFu had gotten a Warp Prism here, and Geralt, while he had set up for, I mean, possibly his own attack. He saw a Forge even before this hallucination. He saw the Nexus, so I'm not sure he was expecting an attack, but whatever it was, he's about to have the same capabilities as his opponent, and actually even then some, but ooh, I take that back. The pylon being destroyed. The Warp Prism having to not use its ability to power those again because it's too busy lifting the units past over that force field. That was a nice snipe by GungFu, but what I was trying to say was that Geralt actually would have more units here and more production capabilities, 3 gateways versus 2. But that was a nice snipe on the pylon. That was good positioning with the Warp Prism. It was a surprise as well, I think, maybe, for Geralt. He does have a shield battery, but certainly the maneuver up into the main base that swiftly he was not quite prepared for. And, ooh, now we have a Stargate. Okay. It's always a little weird to see that Stargate come down, but apparently it really is worth getting to deny your opponent's Warp Prism play. Even if you have your own Warp Prism play, it gets a little silly. +1 does start for GungFu. As I said, like that Forge, it was scouted even with the right before that hallucination saw it. So GungFu had the signs of someone who was going into a macro game. You know, very safe robo timing. Forge for an upgrade means that usually you're investing in that upgrade, not attacking until you have that upgrade, right? And then no extra gateways. It really seemed like Geralt was the one that was going to be the aggressor, and then suddenly that changed. GungFu got a decent kill from it. Delayed that production as well as getting a couple of workers. And then went into his +1, and the Twilight Council is still even faster, so this feels nice for GungFu. War Prism harassment is quite annoying, however, for both parties. The Stargate never actually being used, not even a single Phoenix. Maybe he was afraid. I don't think he would have thought immediately it would be Disruptors following this up. I don't know. Oh, that's kind of clever. Blue sending a couple of Stalkers. That's clever. Thank you very much, 47 is for the 1,000 bits. Also, Montague, thank you very much for the dono earlier in the broadcast. $10 introductory donation. I meant to replay that and forgot about it. Sorry about that. Sorry. I heard the noise and I was like, what is going on? There it is. Talking to the way back, we got pylon depowering as well as probes going down. Where meanwhile, GungFu is far more successfully handling this. And Geralt, I don't think he realized the Immortals were still chunking away at him. I think he was focusing on the micro so much. To lose 21 probes and the depowering of multiple. Oh, and okay, at least he got the Warp Prism. Now, does that make up for 14 worker deficit, down an upgrade, down charge, potentially down 2 upgrades? If he does not start +1 soon, which he can't because it was depowered. I don't know. I don't think it does, but I think what Geralt's doing is absolutely the right call. It won't make up for it if he gives GungFu some time. You know, his economy will kick in, his reinforcements will kick in, but the best thing he could do right now is say, well, now you're down a War Prism and 2 Immortals. Let me just attack you with whatever I have. And that might actually get him some decent results here. 2 Immortals, 1 very, very weak, but they have the War Prism and Micro. Lots of Zealots for both parties. But 1 did have charge, helping out, getting the connections they needed. I don't see any sentries. I thought there was 1, but maybe it died. Stalkers could get up the ramp first, and that would have been nice targeting for Geralt. Easy targets for Geralt, but you know what? Despite having an army advantage, he was not able to really take advantage of it. And now all those things that I mentioned, where I was like, does it really make up for all those things? We're back to asking that question. It doesn't really make up for all those things. GungFu has already replaced 2 Immortals and then is getting a War Prism on his way to +2. We're still no +1. Forge is just there. In fact, going for Resident Glaives all in. I actually like that as well. Just going for an all-in of any sort and then Resident Glaives can really complicate things. I think that's the best choice. He's gonna add him +1, but 6 gateways total. Only a 3rd gateway. I'm surprised to see him start +1. Is he actually gonna be able to hit with that? Can he chrono it that fast? I don't think so. Let's see. Let's see if he waits for it. This is gonna give GungFu a lot of time to scout then, potentially. He really will wait for +1. Geralt does grab a pylon in the main base. Even though his Warp Prism didn't do as much damage as his opponent, it did live. So that's pretty important. So he's not going to wait for +1. I didn't think he would. Well, it's going to affect the 4th or 5th battle, I suppose. The +2 will already be done for GungFu, and while he is missing... Oh, no, he isn't. He's not, just kidding. I have nothing to build then. I was going to say, he is missing a couple of crucial things, like a lot of sentries and Archons against this. He actually does have Archons. He's going to have 3 Archons. And I don't even think he needs that many sentries anymore, but he does need to block the ramp. I would say just go ahead and block the ramp. You know what he's going to do. You saw how many adepts he had. That's exactly what he does. I mean, X4 as well, one of the faster building units structures you have, with a lot of health as well. The Immortals busting down. The 7X is actually a nice touch, but then they weren't involved in the main fight. The Archons and the Zealots on top of the Adepts. The Adepts are now going to try and shade through, but this missed their whole point. There was no complication. There was no jumping on vulnerable units or jumping into the main base, as GungFu also slaps down that structure once again to block up the Adepts. A recall instantly as the Warp Prism gets a little far past him. GungFu with some nice moves here. His Archons are stuck, but only temporarily. All he has to do is, cancel his own 7X core, and it will be fine. Geralt, I liked the moves he made to try and make up for the deficit he had, but it just was not enough. GungFu playing very nice PvP, considering how many things are going a little bit wonky in this series. Geralt gonna desperately go for a Robotics Bay. Again, the proper move. Can't argue with that. That's a good idea. But I don't think he's going to be able to get there. His +1 finished, but the fight had already been determined. And the Disruptor counts needs to be a bit higher than the single Disruptor he can get here to actually bring this back. You lose your armor, you lose cloak on your Widow Mines. Yes, you do. This should be the final push. Desperately holding on, though. GG. Good luck. Good guy, Geralt. Well played by GungFu. Takes a pretty swift 2-0. In this PvP, and will advance on to face another Protoss, because Protoss on Protoss on Protoss on Protoss on Protoss.